In the high-stakes world of aerial combat, perception is often reality. For decades, the narrative has been dominated by titans of the sky, aircraft born from colossal budgets and the industrial might of superpowers. We hear the names whispered with reverence: Raptor Lightning II, Flanker. They're the symbols of air supremacy, the billion-dollar chess pieces in a global game of power projection. But a quiet disruption has been taking place, a tremor emanating from the cold north of Europe. A fighter jet from Sweden, a nation known for neutrality and pragmatism, is systematically dismantling the very myths these giants were built upon. The Saab Gripen is not just a jet, it is a question, and the world's military powers are finding it increasingly difficult to answer. The Gripen's recent ascendance is not the result of a flashy marketing campaign or political strong-arming. It is the product of cold, hard performance in the unforgiving arena of modern war games. To understand the Gripen's impact, one must first understand the world it entered. The history of fighter jet development, particularly in the post-Cold War era, is a history of ambition often untethered from reality. It is a story of next-generation projects that promised to leapfrog the competition, but instead became mired in developmental hell. The pattern is depressingly familiar. A defense contractor backed by political allies proposes a revolutionary new aircraft. It will be faster, stealthier, and more technologically advanced than anything that has come before it. The initial cost estimates, while high, are presented as a necessary investment in national security. The project is approved, and the money begins to flow. What follows is a slow, painful descent into a budgetary black hole. The promised technologies prove far more difficult to mature than anticipated. Software glitches plague the avionics. The stealth coatings are difficult to maintain. The engine runs too hot. Each problem requires a costly solution, and the timeline stretches from years into decades. The initial budget balloons, doubling, tripling, or more. By this point, the project has become too big to fail. The landscape of modern military aviation is littered with the ghosts of these ambitious projects. Take the F-22 Raptor, the most capable air-to-air fighter ever built, a true apex predator, but it came at a staggering cost. Original procurement, over 700 planned. Cut to just 187 operational jets. The result: a boutique fleet of exquisite fighters almost too valuable to risk in combat. The F-22's production line was shut down permanently. Every lost airframe irreplaceable. A phenomenal jet, but a cautionary tale of what happens when costs spiral into brittleness. Then the F-35 Lightning II, the most expensive weapons program in human history. Conceived as a one-size-fits-all solution for the Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps. Its development became a textbook of turmoil, plagued by software bugs, engine problems, and maintenance nightmares. For years, Pentagon test reports painted a grim picture of reliability and combat effectiveness shortfalls. Those reports were often downplayed. Officials emphasized progress, while glossing over persistent flaws. Allies are pressured to buy into the program, often based on the myth rather than the reality. From this environment of excess and opacity, the Saab Gripen emerged. It was not born from a superpower's ambition to dominate the globe, but from a smaller nation's pragmatic need to defend its own borders against a numerically superior foe. It was about being the porcupine, costly to attack. This philosophy is baked into the Gripen's very DNA. The design brief was radically different, not raw speed or extreme stealth above all else. Instead, reliability, ease of maintenance, rapid turnaround, and cost-effectiveness operate from dispersed, improvised locations like civilian highways, refueled, rearmed, and sent back by a handful of conscripts with minimal training. Support and logistics designed for brutal efficiency, alien to massive infrastructure elsewhere. Saab integrated proven, off-the-shelf technologies to reduce time and cost, a derivative of the General Electric F404 or F414 engine, mature, dependable. For years, the Gripen's capabilities were mostly theoretical, debated by analysts and enthusiasts online. Skeptics dismissed it as a lightweight fighter that couldn't compete with heavy hitters like the F-15 or the Su-30. But international exercises changed everything. Massive drills, like Red Flag in the United States or Maple Flag in Canada, simulate the chaos of real air combat. There, especially at Red Flag, Alaska, the Gripen began to tear down the old narratives. The results were so surprising, they were kept hush-hush at first. Leaks, not press releases. Often flying as Red Air, Gripens posted astonishing kill ratios against more expensive Blue Air. One squadron reportedly racked up a 10-to-1 kill ratio against a mixed international force. They weren't just holding their own, they were dominating. The edge, brains over brawn, advanced data link and sensor fusion binding jets into a single organism. One sees, another shoots. Silent launches with radars off, electronically invisible to the enemy. Opponents relying on radar warning receivers were blindsided. Heavier fighters are easier to spot. Stealth jets aren't invisible and need fragile support. Small size, potent EW, and networking let Gripen slip past defenses. Information and situational awareness trump raw speed or stealth. The F-35A flyaway cost hovers around $80 million, fluctuating. Gripen E is in the same ballpark. But the story isn't purchase price. Cost per flight hour is the real secret. F-35 over $40,000. Target 25, not yet met. Gripen under 10,000. Some claim 5 to 8. For one F-35 hour, a nation could fly a Gripen 4 to 5 times. For a long time, the most credible accounts were whispered in corridors and ready rooms. As more pilots flew with or against the Gripen, the truth leaked out, consistently. A common theme, the sheer cognitive ease of flying the Gripen. The interface let pilots focus on the fight, not the jet. One European pilot called it, fighting a ghost. Hard to find, harder to track. Advanced electronic warfare and networking made detection too late. Missile warnings from unseen assailants. Early F-35 flyers praised sensors, but spoke of information overload and software glitches, a steep learning curve. Sweden made tech serve the pilot, not the other way around, and it paid off. If there is one piece of technology to call the secret sauce, it's not the engine or airframe, but the data link. Sweden pioneered electronic and tactical silence as stealth. Link J let formations share immense data, creating a single picture of the battle space. Only one jet radiates. The others remain silent, receive tracks, maneuver, and execute silent launches. A squadron becomes a multi-bodied hunter-killer, surrounding targets with no escape. This electronic teamwork explains the stunning exercise results. In exercises, third-party SIGINT could observe minimal emissions with maximum effect. Another path to survivability and lethality, without relying solely on fantastically expensive stealth airframes. The secret of the Gripen's success was, quite literally, in the air. Availability is a capability, and information is a weapon. The Giant Slayer wasn't magic, it was design discipline meeting battlefield reality. The Gripen story is more than David versus Goliath. It marks an inflection point in military aviation. Secrets and half-truths are failing against hard evidence and economics. Sweden's success has armed smaller and mid-sized nations with skepticism. They demand real performance data, transparent costs, and verifiable reliability. Recent procurements now run genuine competitions, with Gripen as finalist or surprise winner. Balanced fleets of affordable, reliable, highly capable Gripens can mean greater security than a handful of silver bullets. Giants are adapting. Scrutiny on F-35's flight hour cost intensifies under competitive pressure. Even the U.S. Air Force nods to a high-low mix, an implicit admission the one-jet strategy was flawed. Transparency and pragmatism are becoming strategic imperatives. The Gripen's greatest secret: a nation can design, build, and operate a world-class fighter without bankruptcy or endless development cycles. Pragmatism, efficiency, and honesty can be strategic assets, like stealth or thrust vectoring. Gripen shocked the system, revealing the Emperor fighter jet myth wore far fewer clothes than admitted. The sky is open for a new competition. Not based on myth, but on merit.